Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
No! You cannot say that anymore. Welcome into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to do the show together.
Yeah.
For an hour at least.
We're not, yeah.
So
until we leave. You know, I don't, not to be arrogant, but just to be transparent. Winning together relative to the basketball apparently now applies together in College Park, Maryland.
Yeah. So this is weird, OB, because I have very mixed emotions about this situation for A&M. I was ready for a change.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate Buzz a lot. I do. This is some people may take this as a dig. I don't mean it as a dig. And you'll probably say that sounds like a very David Nuño meal. Buzz to me is grilled chicken breast, broccoli, and some potatoes. It's quality. It's good. It's really good. Okay? But sometimes I want my basketball program to be like I'm taking my wife out to the steakhouse and I want ribeye. Okay? And this, I hope, provides an opportunity for a ribeye.
Yeah, well, I think Buzz's program was the chicken and everything while he tries to convince you it's the ribeye.
By telling you he didn't get the right ingredients.
You know, here's a guy, look, Buzz Williams did a nice job at it.
Very nice job.
They got to the NCAA tournament 3 times. Maybe they should have been there 4. We can argue that. If you lose to Wofford, do you have much of an argument? But okay. But it wasn't a great tenure here. It was good. You don't pay a guy $4.5 million to get 2 NCAA tournament wins in 6 years.
Yeah.
You just don't. You're not getting a return on your investment. And on top of that, you hear a guy that sometimes acts like he's a victim. Oh, they're going to say Buzz can't coach. Oh, this. Oh, that. I'm not a good recruiter. He's actually said he wasn't a good recruiter.
He doesn't read TexAgs.
Is that what you want? Is that what you want from a coach, a guy that's not a good recruiter? Because I want a guy that can recruit and actually recruit guys he's seen. Because he has told us that he has signed players that he never saw play. Now, he said his assistants did. I give him that. There's a lot of things about Buzz that he did a nice job. He did. But we should expect more.
We should expect more from our basketball program going deeper than the second round of the NCAA tournament. The things I liked about him, I liked the culture he built. I loved it.
They had good guys, no doubt.
Right. Great guys, great culture. I liked the effort they played with.
They played hard, typically played hard.
Very hard. So there's a lot to like about, and I mean, he said a lot of the right things.
Like?
I feel like the way he communicated about his players, I thought it seemed very sincere, very family-oriented. Now,
his players loved him, there's no doubt.
Where I did have a problem, and I had a problem, and you can go back and rewind many of these shows. If you continue to play a similar strategy with the same results offensively, you got to change something about the strategy.
Look, they've never been, in his 6 years, there might have been one year that they shot over the course of a season the 3-ball pretty well. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember it. I can remember multiple years when they were among like the bottom 50 in 3-point shooting. And I remember that they've been terrible on free throws. His first year, he's saying, we just want to get the ball up on the rim and maybe we can get an offensive rebound and get another shot because we're not good shooters. Well, did that ever change? Did that strategy ever change? Now, they could be hot. They could be streaky.
Yep.
And we've seen that. but I'm talking about consistently good all season long.
Well, I want to make sure that it's a little back and forth because that's why I say I have mixed emotions. There's a lot about Buzz that I liked, okay? I'd like for my kids to play for a guy like Buzz, all right? That's a compliment. I think from the way he treats his players, the way he cares about his program, I love. Some of the issues I might have had offensively, I think they should have hired an offensive coordinator. If it was Jimbo, they would have forced Bobby Petrino on him, right? If it's, I feel like they operated as their own enterprise on the side, not a lot of communication apparently with the athletic department, and also his own, like it was just their own little world that happened to play basketball at A&M. That's some of the issues that I might have had. At the end of the day, had they won a couple more games, would we look at this tenure a little bit more fondly? Yes, but in a way, it feels like Maryland did A&M a favor.
Well, I like A&M basketball. To be transparent, I didn't lose any sleep over A&M losing its coach. I think they topped out. I think they topped out this year. They did the best they could do under Buzz Williams, and that was not even good enough to get them to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And we talked, this is being consistent all year. We said this year can't be considered a real success unless you at least get to the second weekend, because you've got the 8 guys you brought in, they've had around forever. You had a guy that you put his jersey in the rafters while he was still playing, which should have been an indicator that he's out the door.
Right.
Because what coach does that? Hey, I want to make sure I'm here for it. I've never seen a player's number retired while he's still playing, or not retired, but you know what, honored. So if you're content with just getting into the tournament and maybe winning a game, okay. But I look around the state of Texas in college basketball, and I've seen Texas in the Final Four and probably would have been in the Final Four. Had a great chance to a couple of years ago. Had the coach not got himself in trouble. I've seen Texas Tech be within seconds of a national championship. I've seen Baylor win one. I see UH in the Final Four now again. So what's holding A&M back?
Yeah, I want an athletic program that not only says they want to compete for championships, is about that life. Okay, and I think we're going to find out a lot about A&M right now. Look, I have a lot of faith in what all I've read about Trev and heard about Trev and talked to him. But this is a huge hire in his tenure. Huge hire.
And we're going to find out how serious A&M is about basketball. And it can't be just the coach. It's got to be the NIL package as well. And you know what, quite frankly, it's got to be marketing. Have you seen some of the lame marketing promotions they do? Hey, we're going to put you, a couple of guys in a blindfold and let you crawl around and try to find something on the floor, which is kind of funny and nice. But if you find it, you still may not win because we have a zone, isn't the idea to give, to help, if you win, here's a reason to come to the games. They used to, they don't do it now. They used to try to shoot a half-court shot for Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
By the way, this hire, it does not mean that it's only a successful hire if they hire a name, okay?
No, that's true.
Right? But I'd like for them to swing for some big names, right? Look, your rival across the street has taken your baseball coach and added, I think, a very quality basketball coach who has a track record of winning at Arizona and Xavier, right? So they've upgraded their head coaching position at 2 spots. Sark, I don't think was a name that really resonated, but these last couple of years seems to be doing the right. So you go around to the other sports or other programs. Alabama swung for the fences. I think after Nick Saban, they went for the biggest name available, which was Kalen DeBoer. They got that. Rob Vaughn is doing a great job. Basketball, we know how good they've been. You can go around Auburn, all right? Auburn has, football still has to prove it, but
they went and got the biggest name available.
And Bruce Pearl, by the way.
Despite his transgressions from the past.
Yeah. We're speaking of Hugh Freeze, obviously. So you look at in the SEC, if you're really going to be a member of the SEC, you have to be competing for championships, plural. And that doesn't mean just in the non-revenue sports. That means the big 3, the non-revenue sports, dance team, equestrian, You name it. That's why you come to A&M, is to be a champion.
I think A&M's always going to go all in on football.
Mhm.
I think they will go as further than most in baseball. I think this is a put up or shut up time in basketball. You either go get the absolute best guy you can get and make a commitment to basketball, meaning, yeah, we're going to pay the coach, we're going to pay the assistants, we're going to have the NIL fund, we're going to do all the things I was talking about before. Hey, if we're going to do something to figure out the parking issues, we're going to let people come into the gym earlier, the Reed Arena, earlier than an hour before when it's cold outside. All these things make a commitment to making people want to come to watch basketball.
Look, this hire to me, and I think we'll know something. They better know something soon, right? Like,
yeah, the portal's already open.
Portal's open.
And
a lot of candidates already hired.
You may not have any players. You got 3 freshmen that Buzz recruited?
Yeah, gone, right?
Well, maybe. I don't know. You got 3 that were on the roster this year. Are they going to stay? You got 3 guys in the signing class. Are they going to stay? Is Pharrell Payne going to stay? Is Solomon Washington going to stay? You may have no personnel. I'm talking about the worst case scenario.
Right.
But so you got to get a guy in ASAP to let him go to work.
And not just a guy. Billy on the Luchador yesterday said something that I think, I need a presence. If it's not one of these big names, right? And look, I am interested in the big names, but if it's not one of these big names, I want somebody that when I hear them at the introductory press conference, they win it. And that doesn't tell you everything, right? When they walk into a room, you're like, dude, that guy's got it. Yeah. That's what I want. Like, do you remember, I think Jamie Morrison had it from right away. Like, he walks in and like, man, this guy, there's something, I really like this guy. If it's not going to be Grand Slam, big name, leaves a program for us, then it needs to be somebody like, okay, I want to play for that guy.
Okay, and of course, my first choice is Chris Beard. And that's why I say I'm going to make that clear. I'm not going to shave until they hire a basketball coach because I want Beard. Brad Underwood did a really nice job at Stephen F. Austin. Has done well at Illinois. If you can't get
Grant McCaslin,
McCaslin at Texas Tech, the guy up at Iowa State. If you can't get one of those guys, would you be okay? We've already failed or seemingly failed on one experiment with Bill Murray's kid up at Connecticut.
I'm very intrigued by everything I've read and seen about him.
Is it Kyle?
It's Luke.
Luke
Murray. I need to know more.
Named Kyle Murray.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe. I need to know more. I know that he's a very popular name on social media. Even before the A&M opening, I saw his name a lot. Like, hey, this guy, watch out for him. He's the guy. I need to know more.
Okay.
But yeah, am I intrigued by it? Absolutely. By the way, I need to know more about Chris Beard. I need to know more. I think
I know everything I need to know.
He's a fabulous coach, but I want to know more.
He's a fabulous coach.
And is A&M going to be able to pry him away financially, right? Because you're going to have to swing. I already used swing for the fences. You're going to have to overpay to get a guy like Chris Beard.
I don't know if you're overpaying for Chris Beard. Not, again, look, said it before, the track record.
Of A&M basketball.
Or of A&M coaches. Hey, I don't want to pay a guy for what you did somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I just look, not only did he have Texas Tech seconds away from national championship, and that Texas team was good enough, it was at least championship caliber in his second year there.
Yeah.
And then in his second year at Ole Miss,
he's got him in the Sweet 16.
They're in the Sweet 16 in a battle down the stretch with Michigan. Let one get away from them. They were leading by 10, I think. Let it get away. I don't know where I heard that from before.
Michigan State.
But did I say Michigan?
Yeah.
I missed Michigan State. But he has a track record of going places and making them really strong, really fast.
Yep. If resume alone, he's the Grand Slam hire.
Yeah.
Right?
I know there's some skeletons.
And I want to know more about the skeletons. I'd like to, but I assume Ole Miss did their due diligence. I want us to do our own due diligence. If there's mutual interest, right? I'm assuming Trev has reached out to him and a few others.
I would assume that Trev has a list of the top coaches. And I don't know if he's talked to those coaches, but he's talked to their representation, I'm sure, to feel out what their interest might be. And I'm assuming this has taken place because I guarantee you Buzz didn't suddenly become Maryland's guy.
Right.
Like I said, Wade Taylor's number was hoisted up, his number was hoisted up, but while he was still playing, it was the last game, but nobody does that anywhere.
Yep.
So that tells me that in some ways this was a Schlossnagle thing and that he knew he was out the door long before.
But it feels like that's just what he has done. He's got a 5 to 6 year expiration date, right? It's milk going bad, and he knows, all right, time to move on. My guys graduated. I gave it a run. Where's my next challenge? And he had some issues. I mean, and some real beefs that I think I get.
I don't.
I understand 3 different ADs, presidents. I get it.
Look, it was my understanding that he favored somebody else to be the AD, and the guy he favored was not hired. Well, guess what? That's not your job. They don't even have an AD at Maryland.
No, they don't. And I find that whole thing strange. The no AD, the reason Willard left, like and that's where he wants to go. But whatever, he wanted to get away. Get away. But you know what? One thing I can tell you, churches in Maryland are going to have a couple of seats open.
No, I'll tell you what, because, I always thought that was one of the oddest things. He's referring to a couple of years, or last year. And Buzz, of course, was asked a benign question, and like he often does, he goes all different places. And he starts talking about how he doesn't like to go out to eat in College Station because people might want to talk to him. Or that he stopped going to church because people are going to want to talk to him. I'm like, what the hell sense does that make? Do you want fan support or not? But I guess in Maryland, they have more pro sports. You don't have to drive an hour to a big city. I think Baltimore's just right there. DC's right there. So I guess you can go out and you still have some anonymity because I reckon the people at Washington have a little bit more to worry about than Maryland basketball unless you're playing for a national championship, which Gary Williams won there.
You know what, though? I bet you Kelvin Sampson gets stopped when he goes around town in Houston.
And you know what? He probably enjoys it.
He does.
Hey, Coach, great job. Man, we're pulling for you. Hey, thank you. Thank you for help. How can we help you? Oh, I'll tell you how you can help me. Give your money, but keep away from me. I want your money. I want you to come again, but don't think you're good enough to talk to me.
All right, we're going to continue talking Buzz. On the show, Seth Greenberg going to join both of us at 8:35. Okay. All right, we'll talk to Seth from ESPN a little bit later. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up at 979-693-1150. That is the Buppy's Catering hotline. You can also text that number, 979-693-1150. I should tell the people what they're listening to.
Well, it's TexAgs Live.
Yeah, it's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations, and we are currently in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. I'll give you 5 seconds to tell the people what they do.
Well, okay, first of all, they're going to help you with investments, including pro sports. If you want to invest in that, you're available to do that, and you can do it through Holistic Planning. They're also going to help you with your estate planning, so when you get old like me and you want to have money waiting for you so you can live the high life, they'll help you with that. And tax time's coming up. It keeps getting closer. What is it, 13 days?
13
That's in
days.
2 weeks before the IRS comes calling. They can help you with that too. Taxes, estate planning, investments.
They can do it all. Investinprosports.com. We go behind the glass, left to right. We say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, hello.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, I kind of share y'all's sentiment. Mixed emotions because you never like it when a coach, I guess, leaves your school for another. But again, it kind of seemed like the timing worked out for everybody. Definitely not getting the sense of, frustration or anger at him. More so just, hey, good luck, and we can move on to bigger and better things. So I don't know. Coaching searches are fun, man. It's fun to keep up with, and we'll see how quick this one goes, but should be a lot of fun to keep up with.
I hope it's super fast.
It has to be.
Yep.
Needs to be.
Yeah. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kaylee Dreyer is in the house. Kaylee, talk to us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a comment on the YouTube that says, as inconsistent as Billy Kennedy was, he was Sweet 16 or bust. Sorry. He wanted to be here and recruited well. Aggies need that attitude again.
Yeah, look, Billy absolutely had success in the postseason. Buzz, I think, built a really good program. I think he built a very good program that was, I don't know if ascending is the right word. They were consistently 5th or 6th.
Consistently above average.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to the tournament, so I'll give them that. And they might have gotten hosed for, the year they went to the NIT. But again, what were they going to do next year? If everything was pointing to this was the second year. And if you're good with that, hey, let's just get into the tournament, and that's good enough. If you're good with that, okay, but just tell me that. Make sure I know that the standard is just getting into the tournament. And then I can say, okay. But if you have higher aspirations.
Look, again, you can 13 teams in the SEC. They're not just happy getting, well, at least 8 of the 13 teams that got into the tournament. They were wanting, how many teams had a chance for a 1 seed throughout the season? 7? Or 2 seed at least that they were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, thought A&M was going to get one.
Yeah. Let's get one more comment in, Kaylee.
We also have some people on the text line throwing out some names of potential coaches that they would like to see. Jeff from Bryan said, how about U of H coach Kelvin Sampson?
I don't
Impossible.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. He's almost 70.
70
He's
something,
established, and his son's going to be the coach in waiting, right?
Yeah, and he's in the Final Four again.
Yeah.
I think 8 years ago it would have been a great idea.
I think that Fertitta guy
Yeah.
could probably keep him there.
I think so. Did they have any other names?
Matt and Bernie said, why not make a call to Sean Miller and offer him more and make Texas pay more for him if they want him?
I don't want anything Texas has.
Yeah, I'm good.
Except for Vic Schaefer.
Yeah, I'm good there.
Yeah.
That's all they have.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't look. I like Chris Beard. I would love to get a McCaslin. I was about to call him McCaskill. McCaslin. I'd like to get him. I don't think he's attainable. I don't know the dude. I'm just knowing about the situation there. There's no reason for him to leave.
I don't know if Texas Tech, and this is an indictment on A&M, and this is alarming, but I don't know if Texas Tech's not a better job for basketball.
It is.
They have
a better
arena,
job.
and now they have that guy, I can't think of his name, he played football there, who's investing heavily.
Yeah.
I should say not investing. He's funding heavily into basketball.
So earlier, OB, I talked about grilled chicken breast and broccoli, which, by the way, it's a staple in my diet. It's very good.
I know.
Right? It's very good. On a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, right? But on a Thursday, when I want to start ramping up my meals and I want to have ribeye level of excellence, but I want to keep it Texas, what do?
You go to 1775, which is what I will be doing tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Doc Mike and some others. 1775 because you get that exquisite Texas barbecue. We know what Texas barbecue is. It's the best barbecue in the world.
It's the Final Four.
And see, Final Four, nothing. This is national championship. You go out there, you get that succulent brisket, so soft and tasty. You get those that sausage with the jalapenos and cheese in there. Yeah. And I really love the pork ribs.
Yeah.
If you're watching the weight, you got some turkey out there. It's really good, that smoked turkey. But, how can you resist that side, the ultimate side, the side
queso,
of all sides, the mother of all
cheese.
Sides, queso mac and cheese.
Oh, it's so good. It's
so
1775. They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m.
You'll probably see a friend there, too.
Oh, it's like Cheers.
Or make a friend there.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know what I'm going to end it with. 1775 TXBBQ.com, 979-492-6241. It's 1775.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
All right, we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. So, how fast can this happen, and how fast can A&M be good in this new era of NIL? And really, I don't know much about how much NIL A&M was doing under Buzz. I know initially he was that wasn't part of their strategy. I know they added pieces to it. But how quickly can this rebuild, if you will, take?
I just mentioned that if you get the right guy with the right support, I mentioned that how fast Chris Beard turned around Texas Tech and how fast he turned around Texas and Ole Miss. I would think it would take maybe immediately, still, be good immediately and be championship caliber in a year or 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's going to, look, I think the ultimate arrogance is telling, not to just be transparent, not to be arrogant, but the ultimate arrogance is to tell other people how to spend their money. So I would do that. However, I would hope that there's a rich Aggie out there that loves basketball and say, hey, coach, I got you. Tell me what players we and I got some buddies and, or tell us what you need.
Yep.
Because that's just a reality of the way college sports are now. I think A&M has plenty of those guys for football. I hope we have somebody or some for basketball, but you get a good coach in here. And you know what? Listen to the coaches. Listen to him, whoever the coach you hire is, of his concerns and address them.
I agree with that. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. There's a text in there from Chase in Houston. Our good buddy Chase. What's going on?
Chase says, go after Greg McDermott from Creighton. He's going to be a tough putt, but with the SEC soaring in basketball right now, I wonder if he might want to see how he could do in the league.
So Creighton finished in the Big East 15-5, second best behind St. John's. They were 25-11 on the year. He's had several good runs there before. He's
60 years old. Does that bother you? Does that scare you?
No, because I don't feel like anybody stays anywhere except I don't know if we're still in a lifer's world of basketball.
Where's Creighton from? Where's Creighton located?
Where is it? I don't know.
You don't know where Creighton's located in Omaha, Nebraska. Where'd your athletic director come here from?
Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska. University of Nebraska, Omaha. But
right.
I wonder if there's any kind of relationship there.
Maybe.
And maybe McDermott, who's been a good coach for a long time, maybe he's going to say, you know what, I don't want to shovel any more snow in the winter.
Maybe it'd be worthy of call. And by the way, they played Auburn pretty tight in the. They lost by 12, but they played them. They played them well.
They played a nice game.
Yeah.
They were in the Elite Eight a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And let me tell you something. Creighton can be the easiest place to recruit to.
No. I don't even know where it was. I think I did know, but I forgot.
So, again, Beard's my first choice. I would feel really good about McDermott.
Let's hit a break. Let's talk to Seth Greenberg on the other side. Shall we do that?
Okay.
Right now, the difference is real. Rollo Insurance. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for. They do the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can write any form of insurance to anyone in the great state of Texas, and they've got 60 offices right here, but their headquarters, obviously, on Highway 6. Homeowners, car owner, farmers insurance, you name it, they will take care of you. Business insurance, they are the very best when it comes to finding you the right insurance for your situation. They've been doing it for a long time. Super integrated into our community, but all over the place. They got offices beyond Texas, right? But I mean, their headquarters is right here because they want to be a part of this community. 888-44-ROLLO is the number. 888-44-ROLLO. Or go to rolloinsurance.com. That is rolloinsurance.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline. We're joined by ESPN analyst, former coach, Seth Greenberg here on the program. Seth, good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us and always being so accommodating. Just your thoughts on Buzz to Maryland, kind of the domino effects, why Maryland, and what does this do to A&M?
Yeah, I think the dominoes effect is from again on an outsider looking in. If you look at Buzz's track record, it's 5 and 9. I mean, he's done a great job at A&M. He brought enthusiasm and energy back. They had great success. I don't know if they've hit their ceiling or not, but I guess in his eyes, that Maryland and that opportunity was better. I don't know if it was a breakdown in the administration's communication with Buzz or vice versa, but he felt like a Texas guy going back to Maryland didn't make any sense to me, but obviously there's a cause and effect, and there must have been something there that drew him to the opportunity to coach at Maryland in the Big Ten.
Okay, Coach. By the way, my name's Olin Buchanan. I would just ask you, again, from the outside looking in, how does A&M react? Who are some of the guys out there that you think would be really good head coaches, and maybe some aren't even head coaches yet, that the Aggies should be interested in?
I think the big thing is I'm not big on listing coaches that are employed somewhere else. I don't think that's right to that coach who's in the middle of recruiting and transfer portal and things of that nature. I think it's probably most important for someone to get someone in there that understands what A&M is all about and wants to be part of that and looks at A&M as a career job. Now, I thought Buzz Williams was the perfect guy at A&M when you guys hired him. I thought it was a situation where he's going back home. He has roots there. He has a connection there. Obviously, when he first got the job, he had a great passion for everything that was A&M. I don't think you have to have a Texas guy. I think you have to have a guy that just says, you know what, we can win at the very highest level here. We're going to have the resources, and I'm excited to represent A&M because of all the great traditions that it reflects. I'm listening to that commercial right before you guys came on the air with me, and that's why you want to come to A&M. That's the collective responsibility, the passion, the ownership, the genuine concern that others have for the good of the group. So I don't like to speculate on coaches that are sitting coaches. It's just not it's not a right thing to do. I've been in that seat, and it's not fair to them. It's not fair to the school they're working for, and it's surely not fair to what they're trying to do in terms of recruiting in this crazy world of the transfer portal.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You mentioned the outside looking in also. How do you think nationally, guys like yourself that aren't here perceive Texas A&M basketball?
I think it's a great job. Me personally, come on down and hire me. I think it's a great job. I think you can win it. You got resources, you got facilities, you got infrastructure, you got passionate fans. You're in a great league. If you come in the top 12 of that league, you own the NCAA Tournament every year, and people want to go play there. That's you got a state that's rich in talent, and say, well, Sean Miller just got hired at Texas. That's great. There's so many players in that state that if you get the right guys that buy into the good of the group, you get the right guys that are going to play to win, if you get the right staff, quite honestly, that gives you the relationships that you need, whether it's in the portal or coming out of high school. I think like a lot of people make big mistakes of living just in the portal. You don't need to live just in the portal. You high school guys and get them to be proud of what they're doing at the school they're at, develop them, get them to buy in, obviously, with revenue share and collectives and things like that. You can find ways to supplement their patience, maybe. But I think that A&M is a great destination because you've seen in the last 5 years, or 4 years or 3 years, if you win, people are going to support you. And there's great ownership because you have a great alumni base. To me, it reminds me a little bit of like Virginia Tech on steroids.
Talking to Seth Greenberg here on TexAgs Live. Seth, do you understand kind of like the mixed emotions from an A&M perspective to where we really appreciate Buzz? We felt he hit his ceiling, and it was probably good for both parties for him to move on?
Yeah, I don't buy the ceiling thing because I mean you never know. I mean the next season could be a bust or it could be a Final Four season. I mean he needed to recruit some more shooters is what he needed to do. I mean they played so hard and they were so disruptive on the glass and defensively, but eventually you got to make some shots. I mean that's the game, and the game is to put the ball in the basket, and you want to stop the other guy. And you want So, I think that, look, what he did was he has a system, and he recruited to a system, and he got those guys to play so hard, and they always represented A&M in a positive way. But, and I guess here's the but side of it, but, you've got to have a complete team. You got to have a mixture, and you've got to have a blend. You can be hard-playing, tough, physical team that rebounds. That's Michigan State. But, Michigan State struggled shooting the ball this year, but most times they shoot it pretty well. You've got to use the resources you have, but you've got to have roster construction is the most important thing. I have a formula for roster construction. One of the parts of that is you got to have shot makers. You got to have shot makers. You got to retain the right guys. You've got to bring in the right guys. You've got to probably mess around a little bit internationally, but you got to have guys who can make shots to complement your hard playing, tough, physical, rebounding guys, and they just never seem to get those guys. I don't know if by plan or guys didn't develop or, I look at Wade. I mean, Wade could make shots at the end of the game. It was, early in the game, they struggled making shots. So, look, what Buzz did was amazing. He's a heck of a coach. But sometimes, like I said, the five and dive, and the longer you're someplace, obviously, expectation changes. Without a doubt, expectation changes. And also, people get tired of, maybe who you are and how you do it. I mean, that's just the truth. And fan is short for fanatic. You can't make everyone happy all the time, but he surely had a good run. I think the biggest thing is if you're not in line with your athletic director and your administration, if you're not seeing eye to eye, it's an impossible job for both the administration and the coach.
First of all, Seth, after that part about the, hey, you got to put the ball in the hoop, I've always respected your opinion now. I think you're just a certified genius. We've been saying that forever. Okay, you said, hey, hire me. Okay, we're going to tell Trev Alberts to make sure we listen to that. If you, when he calls you and he says, hey, we're going to give you the job, how do you go about building that program? How do you go about getting those shooters?
It's all evaluation. I mean, it's really simple. It's all evaluation. You've got to understand there's a give and take in everything you do in recruiting, but it's 100% about evaluation. I mean, there are guys out there that can make shots. There are guys out there that can rebound. There are guys out there that can defend. You want to get a bunch of 6'6", 6'7" athletes, multi-positional players, but you also got to get guys that can make shots. And you can find those guys, and you can find competitive guys that also are skilled. And, look, some of those guys are more demand, but, I think that's the situation. You've got to have a staff that's locked into one international, and also when you're state, like how you put together your staff is important. You've got to be – Texas A&M is a national brand, but you've also got to be able to recruit the state. Texas A&M is a national brand, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have some international connections to fill voids. And Texas A&M is a national brand and a destination that you can go in the portal and find shooters. And, I'll give you, for example, look what Florida's done.
Yeah.
Florida, right there, backcourt. Walter Clayton, he can make a shot. Iona. Will Richard, he can make a shot. Belmont. Elijah Martin, he can make a shot. FAU. You can find guys that will transfer up that can fill those voids because they have a body of work. Now they got to also have the other characteristics that you're looking for, but that's doable. It's those guys are in demand. But it all comes down to evaluation, guys. It's really, really that simple. Putting together a staff of coaches that can evaluate, have contacts and networks. Hey, very, very important. But then evaluating guys that fit your personnel and fit your university and fit, basically your identity. You can't trade off. You can have both. You've just got to find both. And I think probably for A&M, the best way to do that in a quick way is finding those guys in the portal.
Seth, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much again for joining us. You always come and you're always accommodating. Thank you, sir.
Good luck to you guys.
Thank you. Seth Greenberg on the Buppies Catering Hotline. Appreciate his time. We'll hit a break. We'll kind of chew on that for a little bit. I'm ready to hire Seth Greenberg.
Hey, if he acknowledges that the way you win is putting the ball through the hoop the most, I think I could get on board with that.
I think it's been over a decade since he coached, so it's probably been a little long. But remember, I said I want to.
But he's got those contacts, though.
Yeah, but the NIL's changed the game. There's a lot, but yeah,
it's true.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll kind of chew on that for a little bit. Right now, we're talking Bird Dog. They are our friends there. They take great care of us. When you want to go on a hunting opportunities or experiences, they'll set it all up for you. That's what Bird Dog does. They're an Airbnb for hunters and the hunting community. So when you want to go hunting and have all the logistics taken care of, everything from the lodging to the private chef to the music, to concerts, to helicopter hunting, whatever it may be, let them do it for you. They'll set it all up, and you and your buddies just go have a blast. That's part of what they do. They take care of the hunters, but they also take care of the landowners because they'll find hunters to go on your land. You could just join their team and do that. But beyond all that, they can find those tax benefits on your land that you haven't thought about. You don't even have to run hunts on your land to take advantage of some of those tax benefits. I'm talking some of their folks are making an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land, and they can do that for you as well. The website is birddogit.com. Birddogit.com. Do me a favor, check it out. Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Opie, I feel like sometimes when things are going real south, okay, or the perception things are going real south, the best thing that can happen is hope. And how do you get hope when things are going south? By a coaching search.
Coaching search.
This can galvanize a fan base if you get the right hire. But remember, guys, the right hire does not necessarily mean Chris Beard. And I'm not saying he won't be the guy. I'm just saying sometimes let's let things play out, right? Because you can get where did Todd Golden come from? San Francisco?
San Francisco, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. You can get these guys that you didn't know were going to be great and put them in the right environment and let them shine.
Yeah. Where'd Billy Gillespie come from? UTEP?
Yep.
So, you wait, and whoever they hire, you support, and hopefully they do, a great job and stay.
Yep.
I want, personally, Chris Beard. I like Brad Underwood. I like Matthew Dawson sold me yesterday on the guy from Iowa State. Oberberger?
TJ Olsenberger.
Yeah, he sold me on that guy. I'm fine with Murray. McCaslin, I'd be fine with.
I'd be really happy. I mean, that guy's great.
But my choice, despite his past transgressions, look, he lost his job and resurfaced and has not had any trouble since.
Yep.
Is Beard.
Yep.
Because he's performed at a high level and not just one place. It's not a fluke with him.
Kurt wants to know what you thought about doing the carnivore diet.
It was working.
What is working? You lost weight?
I was losing weight.
Okay.
It was working, and then we went to Denver.
And it went out the door.
You almost got to do it at home, but it was working, and I got, as much as I didn't think it was possible, I would start getting tired of eating just meat and eggs.
Huh. I think it all depends on your goals. And there are many ways to lose weight, but if you get blood work,
it was working.
It was working. If you get blood work and you can see where you were and where you went, I think it's all good. They all work. OB, we should know something in the next few days.
I hope so. I hope by this time next week we know.
Oh, by this time next week?
Well, I hope we.
Oh, we're starting to get a roster together.
Yeah.
I hope so. Thank you very much.
All right.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, we'll do a recruiting country with Braunie. Then we've got some track and field updates. We've got Trisha Ford. We've got Billy Liucci. We've got a Maryland insider. We've got a lot of other stuff that I haven't written down, but I'm sure will happen. It's TexAgs Live presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time for Recruiting Country, presented by American Momentum Bank. They are the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan College Station, and they're committed to helping our community prosper, offering you a wide array of personal and business banking solutions specifically designed to help build financial success with confidence and momentum on your side. Ryan Brauninger is here in the studio. Hey, hello, Bronny.
Awkward
Yeah,
intro.
awkward, yeah. Hey, hello, Bronny.
What have you been doing this morning?
Multiple things. You want me to take you through it?
Yes.
At 4:45, I got up and I grounded outside. At 5:02, I made some tea. I then...
Did you go? Was there a soccer game last night?
I did. Unfortunately, we lost. Consol lost 2-0 to Angleton. A game that I think they could have had. I gave up an early bad goal, and we just played catch up the rest of the way. Yeah, it was a great year. Proud of my boys. Proud of that team. Unfortunately, they lost. Next year, it'll be a different look with all the seniors moving on.
Oh, yeah. Next year, Nuño was back.
Well, not only was next year, I was this morning, because my poor kids have me as a dad, we're already planning our off season. Like, all right, boys, what is this? Swear to God, what is the specific focus that we're going to work on? What's the big goals? What are the minor goals? What's the plan?
Didn't even give them 48 hours, which is typically 48 hours.
What would Kobe do? I'll tell you what Kobe would do, because he did it. You remember his rookie year? You were probably 6. You remember his rookie year?
No, I'm not a big NBA guy.
1998, I believe it was 98. No, 96. They were playing the Utah Jazz in the first round of the playoffs, and he shot, I forget how many threes that he missed, but there were air balls. There was like miss after miss after miss after miss. It was a terrible rookie year for him. Well, that game was terrible. That evening, instead of flying back with the team, when he got back to L.A., 4 o'clock in the morning, he went to the gym. That's what champions do, Bronny.
There you go. Christian and Cruz, I apologize.
Mamba mentality.
Now, if they got up and they did that on their own volition,
They did not do that, yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
But they're going to their club practice tonight, and they're going to play this weekend in a game. So they're moving on.
Get the bad taste out of their mouth.
Anyway, let's go do some recruiting country, shall we?
Your show.
I think you host it sometimes.
Well, and also, move me around so somebody else can get the airtime they want.
Actually,
where have we heard that story before?
Actually, I was thinking, do we go all in on Buzz, or do I separate a little bit? That's how the conversation happened. And I was like, you know what? Let's get Billy at 10. We can move Bronny up because he's here working anyway. You're here early. I think you showed up at 8:22 today.
It was around that time. I'm usually here about 8:10, 8:15.
I think you parked like right over there. Yeah, I saw you.
Okay.
I pay attention.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, it's getting worse. So one of the topics you sent my way, that it has been a good spring. I know that there was maybe a month ago the conversation, what's happened to our recruiting? It's been a very productive spring.
Yeah, I wrote an article about it yesterday. It's like they had some jobs to do because of all of the attrition that they had seen in the recruiting class up to, I guess, spring practice starting. And so they had different jobs. Number one, re-solidify what you had committed. I think they've done a great job of that. When you look at Jordan Carter and Aaron Gregory and Helaman Kasuga, and just kind of reinvigorating the commit class to stay together. Now, doesn't mean that it's done. It by no means doesn't mean that it's done, because when you got players like Gregory in the class, everybody in the country is going to come after them. So they had to do that. They had to kind of re-solidify the ground that the current commit class was on. Secondly, is that they needed to get their in-state haul up and moving, and they did that in a major way with the additions of Jonathan Hatton and Mike Brown. So you had 2 Texas kids that you felt like needed to be Aggies, and you went out and got them. And the third thing was, all right, last year we put so much emphasis on these spring practices in creating momentum, both in-state and out-of-state, that we have to do that again, and we have to hit. We have to start creating some kind of snowball here with our momentum to put us in a position, because if you look at Mike Elko's history as a head coach, March, April, May have been really fruitful for him.
Yeah.
As have June and July now too, but more so in the spring. So they decided when they got here that the spring game wasn't going to be a big deal. It was just going to be another recruiting day, recruiting weekend. But they really wanted to push to get those kids to come to practice so they could watch how the kids interact with the coaches and the coaches interact with the kids, and they could talk about it. And through that, they needed to build momentum with top targets across their board, whether they be from the state of Texas or beyond, and they've done that. So overall right now, I'd give them an probably a B plus, A minus. They've done all of those things. They've checked all of those boxes. And I very much think that we're going to start seeing that momentum turn into commitments. Some of them have happened already. They're just not public. And, my opinion on silent commitments are not commitments. So until these things go public, I don't put much stock into them. But I do think that we are on the verge of A&M running off a few commitments. And then that would move that grade from B plus, A minus into the A plus range.
In your article, you went on to talk about some of the folks that have visited campus. Do you want to kind of go through some of these names?
Well, I just, when you look at let's start out of state, and Lamar Brown, maybe the best, not maybe, he's the best line of scrimmage player in the country. He's in LSU's literal backyard, and he is going to come back to College Station Jason Howell has got the visit number, but it's a lot. He's come to College Station a whole lot. And he's made no bones about Texas A&M and LSU being his top two schools. Tristan Keys, a five-star wide receiver out of Mississippi, just committed to LSU. He turns around the next weekend and he visits College Station. So, you are fighting Brandon Arrington out in California, along with Richard Wesley, two of the top players in California. You're fighting big-time battles with elite prospects across the country, and those are tough. They're tough to get. They're tough to hang on to, but you'd rather have them than somebody else have them, right? Because they get even tougher to flip. So, from the out-of-state momentum, and look, they had a kid on campus yesterday, a linebacker named Storm Miller, which is a great linebacker name.
What a
great
name.
Great linebacker name.
Could be a pitcher, too.
Out of Strongsville, Ohio, 6'3", 220-pound kid that kind of wasn't even on our radar until he showed up for a midweek visit. They blew that kid out of the water from what we understand. So A&M's got a ton of momentum there. And I can't remember the last time A&M got a highly coveted commit from the state of Ohio. They haven't gotten it yet,
right? But
they're in a good spot, and they're fighting for one of the top players in that state. So the out-of-state momentum is certainly noticeable. It's something they've maintained, especially when you look at their recruiting class and how much of it right now is from out-of-state. So they've done a good job across the all points of the United States so far. But in-state is where they've really, you could start rattling off a whole list of names, and I did in my article yesterday, and you start talking about the offensive linemen. A lot of those are from DFW. Drew Evers, Zayden Crimpin, Toa Katoa. I'm sure I missed John Turntine. All those offensive linemen out of DFW are really feeling A&M. And the likelihood that A&M signs all of those, pretty low. But if you were going to go one by one, okay, where do you think A&M is with Drew Evers and Toa Katoa? I'm like, well, they're at the top. They're right there in the mix. And you expand on that with the receivers, Booby Feaster, James Scott, Aljor Miles. There's a lot of these kids that I'm not saying they're all going to end up at Texas A&M.
But they're heavily in the mix.
Yeah, A&M I would consider amongst the favorites for all these guys. And
so let me ask you about that. When that happens, the reason you don't get all the guys is because it becomes a crowded room.
Well, it's the odds and numbers game too. Yeah. You just go do recruiting for a while and nobody hits at 100% of the guys they're leading for. And there are still, we're in April and we got till December. There's 8 months left in this thing. That's it might as well be 10 years, decade in recruiting circles. So there's so many ups and downs that have to happen. Obviously, I think A&M, Jason and I were just talking about this on the phone yesterday. There are a certain number of these kids where if A&M plays well this fall, then it gets, the conversation gets way more legit. On the flip side, if A&M doesn't play well in the fall, you're going to have a tough time landing some of these guys. So there's still a football season to go, and a lot of these kids that are going to take into account what they see with their eyes on the field.
Did you mention Legend Bay in that list?
I didn't. And Legend's another interesting one. He was he was amongst that Aljor Miles, Calvin Thomas, Cunningham out of the safety out of North Crowley, James Scott, these spring evals that got offers and have really shot up the A&M big board. I think that Legend Bay could play running back. He could play receiver. He could play defensive back. He legitimately could play all those. He's got traits. He's kind of like a Terry Bussey toolkit. And he has seen his importance not only at Texas A&M but other power programs really skyrocket because of some of the things that he's done in these camps this spring.
When somebody is being recruited as an athlete, and I don't mean quote unquote, but that's how often is that? I know it's a good thing when you can play multiple positions, but when they don't necessarily specialize in a position.
Well, I think it gives you some flexibility and versatility in how you recruit them, right? And obviously with A&M's, what it looks like they're going to do at running back in this class, they've got Jonathan Hatton committed. They're in a fantastic spot with KJ Edwards. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they would be pitching running back very hard to Legend Bay.
Right.
Like, hey, yeah, we can put you back there just like we put Terry Bussey back there a little bit, but
we can put you here.
Put you at receiver or potentially even at safety, and there's a bit more clear pathway to the field. And the worst thing that you can do is be definitive with a kid like that. Hey, you are a receiver. Well, we really don't know that. It's kind of like they were with Keati Armstrong. Like, hey, we're going to bring you in. You're going to start at tight end, and we hope you stick there. But if it doesn't work and you get bigger, we can move you other places. And I think that's how you recruit those athletes is unless they come in and say, hey, I want to be this. This is what I think I am. This is what I want to be recruited as. Then I think you keep that door open to be multiple in how you recruit them at a position. And there are some guys, Jermaine Bishop, for instance, from Willis. Like, I think he is a two-way player. I think he's an exceptional corner nickel, and he's also dynamite with the ball in his hands. So that's a kind of kid that you legitimately recruit him at both sides of the ball, in my opinion.
So out-of-state momentum still good. In-state momentum
building, right? And you know, I don't want to go through that entire list of names, but I do anticipate Texas A&M adding to their commitment group in-state and out-of-state in short order. And there are big weekends coming up. We will probably produce a visitor list either today or tomorrow on the site. But we know Lamar Brown's coming back. I mentioned him earlier. Do anticipate Brandon Arrington coming in town. And then obviously a lot of people, the way we're looking at recruiting as analysts right now is that the attention of the A&M fan base has been taken elsewhere. There's obviously basketball, people very upset with what was happening in baseball. And so the momentum built not only in 2026, but even more so in 2027, people are just kind of numb to, or they're not paying attention to it at all. But there's some pretty big time 2027s heading to campus as well. So they've done, if you're just tuning in to the radio show, and this is kind of all the recruiting that you intake for your week, I'm here to tell you that the work that was done in January and February to try to comb through the state of Texas and uncover any misses that may have happened in the fall evaluation process. And because you have so much time to sit in an office and go through tape, and when the coaches are out on the road, but you can't have kids come in, that is heavy, heavy data gathering and intel on measurables, character, all that stuff. And I know for a fact that this A&M recruiting staff put a ton of time in to make sure they weren't missing on something in the state of Texas. I would have to say that exercise and all that work is being put to good use now as kids come to campus. And I think that they are positioning themselves with a lot of kids that maybe weren't on their big board or were maybe written in dry erase that they could be taken off the big board, now have gone up because of those evaluations. And you're seeing it at a multitude of positions, and you're seeing it a lot in the state of Texas. Anything
portal-wise to keep our eyes on?
Not yet. And so we saw that deal with Sincere Brown, the wide receiver out of Campbell. There was a Twitter account that said he had committed to A&M. That was not true. I mean, the kid hasn't even set up a visit, to my knowledge, to Texas A&M. I'm not saying that he won't end up here, but it's way premature for anybody to be saying that or speculating on that. What we think A&M needs right now: receiver, defensive line, maybe a linebacker. Yeah, that's about it. That's what we think they need right now. But just like we don't know what everybody else is going to be, that what other players are going to be in the portal, and what high-end players are maybe going in.
We don't know who might leave.
Exactly. So in 2 weeks, when this thing really starts kicking off, A&M may need more than just three. Yeah. And that's something that obviously the staff understands, and because you can feel like you're in a great spot with a lot of your players, and either they're unhappy with perceived playing time. They're unhappy with their NIL structure, whatever. And you don't know that until they walk into your office and say, hey, I'm out.
Yeah, and you don't know who's already reached out behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yep.
So, we always talk about them having to re-recruit their players at all times. Is there a heavier emphasis as we get closer to that window?
I think you're always doing that now because of – and that's why, to me, in recruiting, numbers matter less than they ever have, because you could have a position. You could have, 8 linebackers in your – scholarship linebackers in your linebacker room right now this spring, and you look up next spring, and because of graduation and portal, natural attrition, whatever, you could be looking at 3 or 4.
Yep.
And you're going, wow, I'm glad we oversigned linebackers. But that could be any position, you know what I'm saying? So I think for recruiting numbers, who cares anymore? Like, if they're really good players and you think they fit your culture, sign them, go get them.
Right.
You figure out the rest later. But in terms of how the roster is structured and the coach's job of re-recruiting their players, I just don't think that ever stops, especially the guys that you really, really want. And I think for Coach Elko and his staff, the guys they really, really want either have to be A, super talented, or B, really love football, preferably a combination of both. And I just think that with the culture he's trying to build, if you don't really love football, this ain't going to be the place for you. So I'm sure there are guys over there that are contemplating how much they love football, and they should. And whether you're at Texas A&M or LSU or Arkansas or wherever, you should contemplate that, because the guys that really love football tend to stick around a lot longer, and they also tend to hit their ceiling, whatever that ceiling is. Christian and Cruz, I don't know what their soccer ceiling is, but if they don't really love it, they ain't going to get close to it.
Yep, you're exactly right. So give us what the next couple of weeks could look like.
Well, obviously continued visitors, right up until the spring game, both midweek and on the weekend. And then, again, like, I believe, Jason believes, our recruiting staff believes that there have been kids, prospects, give A&M their verbal commitment behind the scenes. We'll see if they go public. Just not going to put a lot of stock into silent commits, especially in this day and age. But we are tracking a few behind the scenes to see if they make public announcements.
And then before I let you go, baseball-wise, 20 runs last night, grand slam, was offensively great against, I know, Incarnate Word, and a biggie this weekend.
Yeah, look, you don't want to put too much stock into blasting Incarnate Word. They've been awful. But if you're going to go into a weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee, you want to do it with that kind of performance. And I thought the story of the night for me, first, Gavin Lyons was awesome.
Yep.
And I think he earned himself some time on the weekend out of the bullpen. Jackson Brousseau, his first outing of the year, I had heard he had some big issues with the strike zone, like big issues. And he came out last night and was blowing the doors off of people. It was 94-96 with the fastball, 88 on a slider, looked really good. So, like, I think he's gotten himself onto the plane after not pitching all year. He's probably gotten himself onto that plane to Knoxville. And then 3 is I didn't like the swing and reaction from Caden Sorrell. He swung and missed on a strikeout, hopped out of the box, immediately grabbed that hamstring. Not good.
Yeah.
So those are the big 3 takeaways from me last night.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. All right, we'll hit a break here. Right now, Milliken Reserve Time, farm to table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're committed to treading lightly on the beautiful land that you can find Milliken Reserve on. 2,600 acres of open space, farms, and trails. So really just a wonderful area to go hang out with your family, go outdoors and do all the great things. We're talking about hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, summer camps, music festivals, whatever you want to do outdoors, go fishing. It's just a cool place to bring your family and enjoy being in outdoors and being together. All the animals you can imagine. And homeowners at Milliken Reserve sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to that pristine countryside place. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website again, millikenreserve.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studios. Time for our weekly track and field conversation, brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store, your local source for Viore athletic wear, duck camp apparel in Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Instead of Coach Henry, we've got Jaqueline Scott and Jayia Covington in the house. Hello, friends.
Hi.
Howdy.
So can I pick a bone with you? You know where I'm going. Just 12 seconds ago, Jaya's like, Allie Russell's my fave. I mean, she's really good at what she does. I get it. But, like, she hasn't even given me a chance to try to win her over.
Sorry. You still have a chance.
All right, I got a chance. So let's talk about it. How are you guys feeling? It was a pretty good weekend for both of you, right? JQ, start us off. How did it go?
Man, I'm actually feeling pretty well. I definitely feel like this week is going to be something to capitalize off of. So we're just going to take it one step at a time.
All right. Jayia, you opened outdoor season with a 12.86 in the 100. Number 1 in the NCAAs, number 2 in the world. All right. What is that performance right now, like mentally, what does it do for you going forward?
Mentally, I feel like I'm capable of running faster. You know, the race wasn't perfect, so I definitely think I have some room for improvement.
Room for improvement
Yeah.
at number 2. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But is this where, because Coach Henry always talks to me, and both of you can answer this, like about it's a process, is getting you ready for when it really matters, and this is all part of your process, right? And for you?
For me, I would say last week was definitely something that I wasn't expecting to open up like that.
Yeah.
But if it did, so I believe my time wasn't legal. So at the end of the day, I don't have a regional mark right now. So this week coming up is kind of personal for me. I have to get a mark out there for regionals so that I have a spot. I have a shot at nationals.
So it needs to start now.
Yeah, it needs to start now. Yeah.
JQ, you started outdoor with 110 hurdles at the Battle of the Bayou. Did that set a foundation for you for the rest of the way?
Yeah, it definitely did. So, pretty much with me opening up at 13:22, it definitely shows that I still have it. I still have what it takes to compete the way that I did at the end of the year last year at trials. So, at this upcoming meet, I'm definitely expecting a bigger PR, if you want to say, for the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Jayia, you transitioning from indoor to outdoor, how do you adjust your thinking and your training? Like, I know obviously the team overall, there's a transition period. What about for you?
Well, obviously it's 5 more hurdles, so the race is much longer than, indoor. But I just say to myself, like, this is like the real race. Like, this is what track and field is, and not just 5 hurdles. So the race is just getting started after 5 hurdles. So I just kind of tell myself that, okay, like, you're just now getting faster, so just keep doing what I'm doing.
JQ, the 110 presents a different kind of obstacle and challenge than the indoor 60. So talk to me about the difference in the preparation and in the actual race itself.
Well, see, the actual race itself, so pretty much I believe most would say I'm not a 60-meter runner, but somehow I tend to pull it off. I tend to get in the final in nationals. As of right now, I have to acknowledge that there is a big target on my back. Just considering the fact that I did come off a very strong season last season at the Olympic trials. So as of right now, I definitely have to take it one step at a time. I have to be patient with the way that I run, and I have to just continue training hard because it's not going to be easy this year.
Did I hear you just say that some people don't think you're a 60, and you did that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Crazy.
What does that say? Like, I mean, for you, answer it for him. Like, what does that say? Like, hey, this is not your best event, but you're the best at it.
I mean, he's a competitor, so once he steps on the line, he's always going to be ready to go. So people just assume that he's not going to be ready to go, but the whole time, he's ready to go.
How about for you winning the 60 and a historic moment and how that has shaped you?
It was a very surreal moment. Not saying that I couldn't go out there and not do it. Like, I had the confidence to believe that I was able to accomplish that, and I'm just very blessed and excited for the rest of the season. It shows that I'm capable of doing what I can do on the track.
JQ, 5-time first-team All-American, 3-time SEC silver medal. How do those past achievements kind of fuel you for what's ahead?
It just keeps me hungry. Because as you just said, silver medalist. So the job hasn't been completed yet. I still have not gotten my first SEC championship win. So that's definitely something on my bucket list. That's something that definitely has to happen. I'm running out of time here on my eligibility. So I definitely want to make sure that I can go out with a bang. That's always the goal.
Go out with a bang.
Go out with a bang.
Jai, you're 12.86, number 5 all-time A&M history. Is it important to keep climbing up that list?
Of course, I have to keep climbing up that list. I want the school record.
So, as a competitor,
Mm-hmm.
do you think about the list, or yeah, you think about it, but like it's about that event that day, and it'll take care of itself?
Yeah, I definitely do think about the time. I always have it in the back of my head, but it's definitely when it's time to run. Like when it's ready to go, I'm ready.
Yeah. What's the next milestone for you?
The next milestone for me is the NCAA record. I'm actually very close to the NCAA record. I want to say .12 off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the next milestone for me. And I feel like if I can accomplish that goal, there's been thousands of athletes who have tried. So for me to be able to do that with A&M jersey on my chest, it's going to be a very big deal, especially with me, transferring from transferring from a Division II. That's something that most people don't really, make it from.
Sure. Yeah.
And for me to break the record is going to be a big deal.
What is indoor as a team? What can it tell you about outdoor? Can it tell you something? I mean, obviously very similar, but there's so many different nuances and differences to it. What can it tell you about this outdoor season as a group?
It can tell us that we're more of an outdoor group. Like once we go outside, it's more of a bigger group, so it's a lot more events that are incorporated into it. But it shows that we have the chance and that we can do it.
What about for the men's side? Like, obviously having such a great run at the SECs and what that means. Does it mean anything when it comes to outdoors, or turn the page, it doesn't matter what we did in the past?
Well, see, most people won't understand, but as of right now, what happened at indoors was like something bigger is going to happen outdoors. It's like, so even for me, I open up in this 400 hurdles this week. I'm going to get another shot at the 110 hurdles this week. I'm going to run the 4x1 this week. So we even have other people opening up in, I believe, pole vault in the 800. So like we have so many factors going into this season that we didn't get in the indoor season, that like this is something's big is going to happen.
Yeah. So. For both of you, and we'll start off with you, Jayia, just let's talk about the Florida relays and what's ahead and the talent that's going to be there and what you all have to do.
Yeah, a lot of great schools are going to be there this weekend, but I'm very excited to run my hurdles, and it's going to be hot, so I'm excited to run something fast.
Yeah, take you.
Man, I'm definitely excited. So Florida, like we all know that Florida is a very good track. It's known as a fast track, so a lot of hot times are dropped there every year. So I'm definitely excited to get out there and compete.
Yeah. And you guys are heading out here soon in a couple hours, right?
Yeah, a little couple hours. Yeah, I'm dressed right now.
You're ready to roll. Hey, both of you, thank you so much for coming in. Best of luck. Let's do it again, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Trisha Ford, A&M softball coach. Chit-chat with her. Right now we're talking about water here in the Brazos and Robertson County. Not anybody's water, but the water that you can find in your taps, right? Water isn't just something that comes out of your tap, though. It's the lifeblood of everything we love about our home. And right now, out-of-state interests are eyeing our water, threatening our community's future. I'd like for you all to consider going to keepwaterlocal.org, a group of neighbors fighting to protect what matters most. If you're deeply invested in this community, you got to be thinking about what is happening with the water. It's about preserving our water, preserving our farms, our businesses, and the Aggie spirit that makes this place so, so special. Losing control of our water means losing our future. If you want to make a difference, head to keepwaterlocal.org. Get involved. Keep water right here where it belongs. It is local. It is keepwaterlocal.org. You doing all right? I just did a countdown. We're on live TV. There's no countdown. There's no 3, 2, 1, Trisha.
It's one of those days.
It's one of those days. TexAgs Live. I was like, 3, 2, and no, we're not recording. Trisha Ford's in the studio. We're having a good old time. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
Running a little late today, so sorry.
See, nobody would have known.
I know,
Nobody
but
would
I know.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about it. How are we feeling about things? A really nice weekend. Just overall, I know there's some big tests ahead, but just for where we are right now, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think we got out of this weekend what we needed to get out of it. I think we kind of reset some things offensively. I felt like our approach was good. I think, pitching-wise, we had some good outings. Emily Kennedy looked really good on Sunday. So I think we got out of it what we needed to get out of it.
Let's take some individual parts every week. I mean, there's a series of questions that I add that we keep building on, but Maya Perez continues to be a masher, right?
Yeah.
And this weekend she had, again, just a phenomenal weekend where the entire conference took note.
Yeah, she is just doing a great job, again, of keeping it simple. It's not ever anything that's overarching. It's being on time, getting a good pitch, and putting your A swing on. And so she is that kid. She's always been that kid. Last year, I know she had some ups and downs, but, this doesn't really surprise us. This is who Maya Perez is.
Can you kind of talk a little bit about, and not only just in Maya's case, but some of the freshmen today, of when you are a player with so much promise, being around veterans who know how to go about the work, who have been through the ups and downs, because typically when you get to college, sometimes it's the first time they face real adversity.
Absolutely it is. I think we have so many seniors that are helping her, right? And even helping her through last year. I think Jazz Hill was huge for Maya last year, of like, hey, you're going to figure this out, persevere. Here's some things that I think you could work on, and her and Maya were able to have those conversations. Allie Enright is pivotal, Kramer Eschte, Coco, and then Mac Barbara. I mean, she hits right behind, or right in front of, I should say, Mac. And I think their ability to have conversations, talk about the game, talk about what they're seeing pitching-wise, they're both power-hitting left-handers. So I think there's a lot of pieces that they can kind of collaborate about.
And then the freshmen that are coming up, is it difficult or no when, and again, you have to ask them, but as a coach, when they're waiting for their opportunities, and when those opportunities come, sometimes it might be a short stint, it might be an extended stint, to make the most out of that chance?
Yeah, I think Frankie Vrazel is the epitome of that, of just she's got an opportunity, she comes in, she does a great job of executing when she needs to. She's had to sit the bench a little bit. Amari's gone off, Mac's gone off. So then, okay, Frankie, you get a pinch hit opportunity. And then she just does Frankie things. And so I think that'll be something that as we go through this program, we've been here years upon years, that is something that we will always kind of, grab from, of just Frankie, her freshman year, what that looks like, how to handle as a freshman those opportunities, how to sit, and then how to come back again and just keep contributing.
We had Amanda Scarborough on the show yesterday, talked about Emily. Yeah, Amanda's great. And just how this year, Emily Kennedy, I should say, this year is kind of a different role for her. Same role, but maybe not the entire spotlight on her. And how potentially that could really benefit her later on in postseason play.
Yeah, it's funny that you said this because I actually was talking to her before here. But but it's really going to help, I think, as the season goes on. She's starting to kind of hit her rhythm. And last year I felt like it was kind of the whole year was rhythm. And then at the end, she gave us everything she had, but she had thrown, just a ton of pitches. And so she's still getting our load, right? She's still throwing Friday and Sunday, but she hasn't logged as many pitches early on in the year. And so she got all the hard innings, which that's also going to help her at the end of the year, because who are you facing at the end? The hard, right? And so this year, I've been really proud of her, to be honest with you, of just her ability to handle adversity, her be able to like kind of work through some things, not maybe have things pan out the way she wanted to, but like figure it out. Like, okay, we're going to move forward. How's this going to look?
It's a transition, right? Though, like when you're used to getting that kind of volume, and then you're like, wait, like I'm fresh today. I want to be not fresh, right?
Yeah, and you saw that, like kind of her walks are up, and that's a lot of it has to do with that. Is her trying to be perfect? Like I'm only going to throw one game this weekend, or I'm only going to throw 10 innings instead of 20. You know, and so she has to understand that she's got to go in there, execute, and then be done.
You mentioned the hard in the postseason. But I feel like when you look at your schedule, the hard is the non-conference, the hard is the SEC, and we know there's still hard and harder left.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's just going to make us better. So I think we're not going to know any different. You know, it's just going to be another game. And so then you kind of have that professional take of just, hey, it's the same thing. We're just going to go out, we're going to play our game and, you know, win a ball game.
Another thing that Amanda noted yesterday is that the team plays very calm. Are you calm? Is that where it comes from? I, as a coach, I'm sure there's a little bit of calm and crazy, right?
Yeah,
That's part of the science behind it. But is that because you have a veteran group?
I think that, and they're super confident.
Yeah.
Like I think they have a great relationship with each other. They can have hard conversations. You know, we have a couple kids on our team that really kind of rally the troops and understand how to connect to different groups and how we can get all those groups together to win a ball game. So I think would I say I'm calm? Fairly calm, but there's fire. And I think that's the difference. You have to balance the calmness. You have to be surgical in your execution, but you have to have some intensity, some fire, and some competitiveness in you in order to be successful.
I know the home run numbers, you'd like to probably see them go up. But recently, I feel like, is it 5 straight games with a home run? How do you feel about the power numbers?
Yeah, I think Mac is starting to like feel better. Just swinging at good pitches, to be honest with you. Amari's swing this weekend, that home run, I think she hit it like 280. I don't know, it was ridiculous, but just beautiful swing. So I think they're starting to understand. Really, it's just that process of you're going to get this pitch, you can't miss it. So. Right. I would always. The pitching coach always wants more runs.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Kennedy Powell. Why? I mean, I know why she's thriving. She's a really good player, but why is she thriving recently?
You know, her and Harger had a conversation. Coach Harger, Kennedy, you can't get too technical with. She's kind of a rhythm and a feel kind of player, and so Coach Harger approached her and said, "Hey, if you would just clean up your strike zone, you're gonna hit way better. Like nothing mechanical, nothing." You know, this, that. It's just really like if you're hunting pitches over the heart of the plate, you're going to be super successful. People were getting her out because she was swinging at balls that were going to hit her or in the other batter's box. And she's just so good that she could put her bat on it, but that's not helping us. So that's what they really talked about, really tidying up her strike zone and putting good swings on it.
How does someone with a broken finger lead the team in batting average?
What's happened before? Remember Coco?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We have a niche.
So,
it's a thing.
Next year, who's it going to be?
Yeah, I'm just going to break all their fingers. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but that's Amari Harper. She's very like calm and steady. You can almost listen to her in the batter's box of like what her plan is. She's like, okay, that ball was out. I need to be a little later. I need to be flatter. Like you can just kind of see her. And so she doesn't let things that she can't control her, which I know sounds very simple, but that's hard. That's a hard skill of just being like, okay, my finger's broken, tape it up. Let's go to work.
Can that be contagious for the rest of the?
Absolutely. Yeah. If Amari's doing it, like I can do hard things and do it at a very high rate.
And is that something that like, I think that's player led, right? It's not just, I mean, sure, a coach can demand it and want it, but like the players have to be about that life.
Oh yeah. At any point, Amari could have said, I'm not going to play. I'm going to wait for this to fully heal. Amari was in my office like, coach,
I can do this.
Yeah. And so she's mad at the trainer because the trainer's like, well, we have to give it 2 weeks for it to like at least start to set. And Amari's like, I'll be fine. Like, put it on. But we have such a competitive group. And Amari's a different kind of competitive, right? Like, she's not this outgoing, like, gorgeous, like, personality. She's just quiet, but she's got that inner fire in her.
Did the LMU series come, you think, at a good time? Is there ever...
We'll find out.
Well, this is true.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting us prepared. We're about to hit a really hard section of our schedule, which, like you said, it's all been hard. So I think, this series with Georgia is going to be big. Obviously, we have Prairie View tonight, but, we have LSU coming in. I mean, we've got some games ahead of us. But if we just take it, be where our feet are and really understand what made us so successful in the LMU series, I think it's going to really help propel us into the next, section of our schedule.
And then when you do hit a bump in the road, because all SEC teams will get a little bit of a bump in the road, even as top 5 teams, right?
Yep.
How do you not let a thing become a bigger thing later?
Well, I think we just have shown the ability to win games at different levels. We were just on our ESPN Zoom for this weekend, and the thing that they're like, nothing really stands out about your team, like stat-wise. And I'm like, exactly. We're just very consistent in every category, and we just don't panic. And so I think when we hit a bump, what we're able to do is draw from those experiences of being like, this is a bump in the road. Like, we need to do X, Y, and Z a little bit better, and things are going to be fine. I think when you are doing this, right, then you get too emotional and you don't ride the wave. When you ride it, you're always worried about this drop off. And so for us, they're super confident. We've talked about that all year. And then the second thing is they just don't let things phase them.
As a coach, I got to assume, like, however you win, you like to win that way.
Yep.
But the fact that the Swiss Army knife approach, that this team can beat you, one day it might be mashing, it might be pitching, it might be defense, it may be, instrumenting some runs, some way, shape, or form. The fact that you can do it multiple ways, you've probably got to love that approach.
I do. And I think that's what's made us so successful, because we don't have like an overpowering offense. We don't have this. We don't have, we have a lot of really good pieces that understand that, like, today's my day to step up. And then tomorrow it's going to be your day to step up. Right. And so we have the ability, and we've shown it, that every part of our lineup can start something.
Trisha, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Good luck. Yeah. Good luck this weekend. I said good looking. Good luck this weekend. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with a short one on the other side. Then Billy Liucci to start off at 10 o'clock. It's TexAgs Live. And we are back. TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Garner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Sean and Brian, appreciate your text. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kaylee, let's read anyone but that one.
We have one from earlier in the show when UNLV were talking about how fast a program can be turned around. And it says, you were discussing how quickly a program can be turned around. Last year alone, Arkansas, Michigan, Kentucky, and Drake are all examples of teams with new coaches that came in with active portal recruiting and made the NCAA tournament in year one.
It's all going to depend on the who and the what, right? The who they bring in, do they command like a seismic shift in certain types of talent, right? If that's the case, and by the way, Chris Beard, who's done a really good job at Ole Miss, the first year wasn't as good as the second year. It takes time, right? But the who followed by what they can bring. If you get a coach that comes in with a lot of talent, right? Like they fought, like some people believe that maybe the leftover players at A&M will follow Buzz, right? There's not many left over, but those two could follow Buzz. That's a possibility. Depending on who they hire, I hope they, try to get in their ear and say, hey, we'd like to have you guys stay, right? Pharrell, we'd love for you to stay, although I could understand why he would go elsewhere. Solo, you've been here for 3 years, so I'd love for you to stay. So whoever you bring in, can they have that kind of seismic shift? Can they bring players with them? I think that is all part of the future, right? Like, I hope it's I can't evaluate what a fast turnaround would look like until I know who that coach is. And then, sometimes we do it to a fault, you gotta wait and see how that culture materializes. You want it to be a fast fix. You don't want to see what we saw in baseball this year, or you don't want to see the drop. But you would like to see a team that looks like they're trending in that same arena, and hopefully even beyond week 2. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back, I believe Billy Liucci will be in studio. I think he's in the office already, so we'll have Billy chit-chat about the latest when it comes to basketball and much more. It's TexAgs Live. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is hour number 3 of the program. Billy should be here momentarily. Look, let's try to get an update on the coaching search. I assume there has been some movement since we did the Luchador last night, so I'm looking forward to chatting with Billy about that. Let's talk about good fits, great fits, and slam dunk hires. A good fit to me is somebody who wants to be at Texas A&M. I'm sorry, you got 2 coaches that wanted to leave recently. That I don't want a mercenary, somebody who's coming here for the next gig. I recognize while basketball has done that in the past, right? Billy left for Kentucky. You had Turgeon leaving for Maryland. Billy Kennedy didn't finish out his stay. He got let go. And then you had Buzz leaving for Maryland. But you want to come here and be something special, you got to build something special, right? And I think Aggies will follow. So let's find somebody who wants to be here. It looks like Buzz was politicking for the job in Maryland. Who's politicking for the job at A&M? It is right now the fan base and the expectation. We're in a weird spot, right? Because we need football to be so good, and you want to believe, but like the way the season ended, you're still thinking about it. Because I'm thinking about it, right? Like if I'm thinking about it, I know you're thinking about it. Basketball, the preseason expectations did this. My in-season expectations kind of changed because I'm like, they don't shoot well, but maybe if it's the right matchup, and you know, if and I was saying this during the season, like when they had that 4-game losing streak, like I was saying, like it doesn't really matter because this team is who they are, who they match up against. If they're hitting shots that day, they got a chance. They can't go on a 6-minute drought, right? Baseball, obviously, this huge fall from thinking you're, an inning away from winning a national championship to losing the coach, to maybe losing all your players, to hiring the guy that you thought was going to be able to not only keep the players, keep the team going in the right direction. That has seemed like to not be working so far. Still a long way to go, but you got Tennessee coming up. So I understand like frustration, but when it comes to, do you believe that they have the right people in place at other positions? I believe Coach Elko is the right person. We just had Trisha Ford in here. She's building something. She loves being here. We talked to her on her way out, how much she likes being in College Station. She likes what she's building. The players they play a certain brand, right? Jamie Morrison. I mean, look at what Pat Henry has done here throughout his stay at Texas A&M. The championships, the constant expectations of being a top 5, top 10 level track and field program. So look, we've got a lot of people who love being here and want to be here. This basketball hire, to me, has to be not only the right coach, the right fit, right? Do they want to be here? I don't want a Band-Aid fix. I want somebody who can take this to the next level, right? I want this to be somebody who can take A&M instead of just, look, as Billy noted on the Luchador yesterday, 11 NCAA tournament appearances. I want that to be every year. That's the expectation, right? But it's not getting in used to be the price of admission. No, getting to the second weekend is like what we should get used to. And every once in a while, fighting for that Elite Eight, right? That's what because if you look around the conference, name a program that isn't striving for that in multiple sports. Florida. Now, I don't know what their football team is going to do, but that football team has been a proud football program. They got a really good quarterback. They're striving for that. Baseball was in the College World Series last year. I know they've had a hard start this year. Basketball in the Final Four with a chance for a national championship. Alabama, proud football program with Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer has a bad year, and we know what they can do. And they would probably be one of those teams that we talked about the other day should be in the mix for the playoffs. Basketball, we know how good they were this year. Baseball, they got Rob Vaughn. So right fit plus the right timing and the long-term vision for Texas A&M. And with that, as I ramble, Billy Liucci is in studio.
Man.
Hi, Billy.
What's up?
Oh, I should have probably said hi yet. I should have let you do this part beforehand. You were doing a little hit somewhere?
Well, we couldn't get the connection working, so
I'll go on with Mincy tomorrow.
Okay.
He's pretty flexible,
Yeah,
but
I like Mincy.
we couldn't. Some of the, it's just, it sucks with these podcasts is there's so many different platforms for them. And sometimes, I think actually one of the very first times I had a problem
It was with me and
with
Raheel.
you and Raheel
StreamYard.
during COVID.
Yep.
StreamYard, is that it? Yeah. Some of them are just funky. Not that they're funky, but they're funky the first one.
First time.
When you try something new with your, I don't know, whatever you call it, software, I don't know.
New platform.
I said platform earlier, didn't I?
Yeah, but we can.
We got Josh. We got Josh and Garrett to handle that. But yeah, so tried that, and then just now, the lobby lizard. He's in there cornering every guest we've got. But today was productive because it was Trisha. So she's too fun to talk to. Thought for once I was going to be on time. I've been here since 9:30, but.
Wow. I think 10:06 is on time.
Something happens every time.
Every time.
But this time it was worth it because I was talking to Trisha about this weekend series at Georgia and all things college sports, including college basketball.
Well, I'm glad you bring up Trisha because that was kind of what I was rambling on.
Uh-huh.
It's not just getting the right credentials and the right resume. It's about getting somebody who wants to build something special at Texas A&M, right? Trisha is about that life here, right?
Yeah. But did Jimbo not want to build something special?
I didn't say that.
No, but I'm asking.
No, not Jimbo. I'm thinking Schloss left.
Yeah.
And Buzz left.
Yeah.
Right?
So, and they wanted to win for sure. But you're right. Like,
it wasn't a long-term
did
fit.
they all? You don't want someone that's got eyes elsewhere.
Right.
Because I don't think A&M needed to guarantee all of Jimbo's money. I think he would have stayed otherwise. I think they needed to extend him. They needed to fend off LSU. And, you could say, and it's always easy to say in hindsight, and it's always easy for the adversary to say, look, what a stupid move. I mean, that's easy to say when it's not your side, when it's a rival or an opponent. I don't think extending him at that time was bad. As it turns out, people were right in that the money guarantee was insane. But Jimbo wasn't trying to leave. He was being aggressively pursued by Scott Woodward and LSU. Kevin Sumlin was not trying to leave. He was being aggressively pursued by USC. Buzz Williams, Mark Turgeon, and I think to an extent, Billy Gillespie, I just think he was nomadic. He and I had even talked about that. I remember years ago, early in this thing, for me, not that early, but I've been doing it for like almost 10 years, but he just said, he was talking about leaving somewhere. And I said, why? He goes, man, they'll get sick of me here. They'll fire me. And he goes, there's nothing better than a honeymoon season somewhere. No pressure. And that is how that is how a lot of coaches think. They always want to stay one step ahead of the posse. And I think in the case of Buzz, I think Buzz, the reputation, and it's what I think we've seen here is somebody said to me yesterday, he's unhappy where he's at every play 6 months into the job. I think that's an exaggeration, but I think there is some truth in that he's going to be a hard coach to keep content and happy. And maybe there's a little something in there in him too that he's like, okay, this is the cycle of life for me at a coaching stop. That's just being self-aware. That's not, it is what it is. Buzz Williams was not here for 2 years and left.
He was here 6 years.
3 years like Slosh did and left. He didn't fail to where he was fired. He wouldn't have been fired this year, nor should he have been. Now, after all this mess, I think you're going, okay. But I think, like I said yesterday, where was it? Yesterday, Monday on the show, I said, I think this thing, if it's going to happen, it's already happened and they're just waiting. All this stuff about Maryland, I don't think, unless Maryland falls to him or they already did it, because his actions would say that he already knew he had that job, because to me, he was greatly jeopardizing his future at this place and putting Trev Alberts and the powers that be at A&M, President Welsh, in a really awkward position, tells me that he knew prior to yesterday that he had that job. But he stayed here 6 years. He wasn't going to get fired. It wasn't like he came in here for a cup of coffee and bolted. I just think some of these, and especially basketball, it's been my experience, tend to be perpetually unhappy.
Yeah.
Jimbo was happy. I think Kevin Sumlin was happy. Like these guys, and it's different in football because they're given everything. But basketball coaches, it's been my experience, they move a lot if you're not careful, and they're perpetually unhappy. Look at like Cal in Kentucky.
Yeah.
That deal, he hung on there like 5 years in a little bit different scenario. He might have been gone from there years sooner.
So I guess what I meant about Buzz, though, it felt that he was always trying to leave, right?
Yeah,
the last
it felt
few
that way,
years,
yeah.
right? So, yeah, he did.
Especially behind the scenes.
6 years is a long time somewhere in today's coaching cycle, unless you're a legend, right?
Yeah.
But also, it felt like 3 years ago, he would have taken this gig or that gig the next year, right? So,
You know what I said, David, that the most A&M thing to happen, I go, here's what's going to happen. I told a lot of people this, and I may have said it on air. A&M's either going to lose in the first round to Yale, and no one's going to hire Buzz, and we're going to go in the offseason, and everyone's going to be unhappy, and he's going to be unhappy and frustrated, and he's going to want everyone to know the team accomplishments without being egotistical at all, as he would say. And then the fans and the people here that make the decisions are going to be like, look at this postseason resumes, and we were going to be in it. Or he was going to take A&M to the Elite Eight, and it was going to be the best A&M basketball run ever, and everyone was going to be at a fever pitch, and then he was going to take a job somewhere. And that part I actually truly believed. If that had happened, he was going to take a job. And I was just sitting there kind of bracing myself. The in-between was, to me, I thought was a Sweet 16.
Yep.
And that was going to be kind of the sweet spot of, oh, now it could go either way. You're going to have the fans are going to go, okay, but this upcoming season,
right,
his stock would have gone up even a little more. Now 3 different teams to a Sweet 16. But we hit that second round, and maybe that was part of it, where it was going to be everybody was just in kind of like no man's land. But I get what you're saying with these coaches, that you just feel like they just embrace it and they're all about it, and it doesn't guarantee they're going to succeed. I know some great A&M loving coaches that, and I say some, I know a lot of them that live here, that have retired here, that come here and live in the off season, that keep their house here, that did not succeed here. And they love A&M so much that they're still here, but it didn't work for them here. So it doesn't guarantee, but I absolutely think it helps. It ingratiates coach to community such that, like, especially outside of football, you want that, like, support. There it is. You know, Mike Elko did not. And here's the thing about Elko, David, that people don't realize. He's going to push and push and push to get the changes implemented at A&M that he believes will help them win, not just at football, but across the board in the athletic department. And he does it in such a way that it's not adversarial or complaining. He does it in such a way where it's conversational, and he's having the tough conversations with every level of this thing.
Yep.
You know, whether it's a regent, whether it's a, $1 billion donor, or, I say donor worth billions, a multi-million-dollar donor, whether it's his staff, whether it's, the other head coaches here, whether it's Trev Alberts, President Welsh, like, he is capable of having all those conversations, including with, his own athletes. That's why he's doing so good with NIL retention. But he loved Duke. It was most people think, how could you ever not? Well, his family was still there. The kids had to finish high school. He had moved them multiple times since he left Wake Forest. That was not an easy emotional / family life decision, but that's how much he believes in this place and how much his family loved this place.
So, if you can, what do you think Trev and A&M has done since 4 o'clock yesterday. Like, what are some of the things that you think they've done over the last 16 hours?
Yeah, I don't think anything started at 4 o'clock yesterday.
No, right.
I think you'd be a bad AD and a bad system, of decision makers if you just went, oh shoot, there goes, but So I think that certainly they've been prepared for this. I mean, look, if we're talking about it, if Twitter's talking about it, if the college basketball world, I told you yesterday, the Ole Miss people were really questioning me about if we were going to hire Beard in Nashville. And I'm like, it felt odd to me at the time, and I'm going to post about it later. It felt odd to me at the time. But in hindsight, you go, okay, they clearly knew something. They didn't know anything on A&M side. They knew that that Beard was movable, and they knew that Buzz was movable. It wasn't a one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you're not going to be scared of Texas A&M basketball coming after your coach. If it was football and Lane Kiffin, they're nervous because they know what A&M's done in football, money-wise and commitment-wise, and they haven't. A&M basketball doesn't scare places typically. So they knew there was something, in my opinion, on Beard's side, and that ties in with everything I've heard the last few days. So when Jeff Goodman says Chris Beard will be a target, he is, in my opinion, he is the target. For now, it does not mean you're going to get him. I will say, I think for anyone wondering, I said this before, I said it yesterday, and I say it now, and I know factually, like, they're going all out. If you want to know what commitment to basketball looks like, they're making a commitment in going after this hire the way they are. If he stays in Oxford, it'll be costly for them, and it certainly won't be for lack of trying. As far as and if it doesn't work out, you move immediately on to the next, and there's candidates that they've already vetted, and I think there's a very specific plan in place. So obviously, I think it's no secret that A&M not will target, but is targeting Chris Beard.
Let's do more of that on the other side. We're going to break here. Right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with other Aggies, then you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events held throughout the year. We're talking awesome events like Aggie Rain Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, and The Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests. And there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. Now, these events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. These options include title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci here with us in studio. All right, Billy, let's play the game. If they get a guy like Chris Beard, and we'll start off with Chris. To me, that feels like the ramp-up time is significantly shorter. In my head, I'm thinking you get an established guy who is doesn't mean Elite Eight next year. It doesn't mean anything beyond that. But you get a guy of that level. I feel like it doesn't feel like a rebuild next year. It feels like an established name can bring some players with him, hopefully, and there's some cachet there. On the other side, you bring in one of these mid-majors, up-and-coming coaches. Doesn't mean it's a 2 or 3 year window either. It kind of just depends, but I feel like there's got to be a little bit more patience there.
Yeah, and that bring up an interesting point because that's where, like, I think what you're going to end up with in this hire, in my opinion, I'm just trying to think of the in-between guys, between the up and we say mid-major. It's more like up-and-comers. They could be at a Power 5, a different one. But, like, there's a couple names in there that you think A&M could take a swing at that are more established. You know, like, nobody, honestly, like, I don't think people would be that excited about, like, a Porter Mosier hire. I say his name not because he's a target, but because I feel like he's attainable. He's been here.
Yep.
And he's proven. Damn guy's been in the Final Four, which is like more than any other coach that's ever coached here has done. But it hasn't been like anything close to a home run at Oklahoma. You know, they haven't been thrilled with it. Got into the tournament this year. They rallied. He damn sure has some players he got there in Norman. But I'm saying, like, he's kind of that in-between level guy with the resume, but not like the cachet that comes with a Chris Beard or a McCasland, or if you'd have gotten a Will Wade. Man, there's part of me that thinks I'd be feeling so good right now today had this been 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago, and it was Will Wade, Chris Beard were on the table. And, I think people should stop talking about McCasland at Tech. I mentioned him because I was just trying to give an example. Like, here are, like, to me, tiers. And, like, that middle tier would be like Porter Mosier and Underwood. The other guys, I mentioned the guy at Stanford, Smith. He's like, that's not a mid-major. They're in the ACC. We always forget they're in the ACC. But he's at a real place that's been to a Final Four or two themselves. But he's a name, an under-the-radar name.
Yep.
So I bunched some of those guys together, right? I don't know, like, and again, I'm not diving into resumes, so don't throw your hands up and go crazy and say, Billy said we're going after Porter Mosier. And Jamie Dixon's another guy. He's at TCU. I'm just naming people in that level.
Yep.
With a little more proven track record that you can maybe pull if you wanted to. Underwood, Dixon, Mosier. I'm just spitballing, trying to think. You could name 10 other people like this. But I think the more likely is if you don't hit at the top, and again, McCasland he's not going to leave Tech. In the deal he just signed, he's not going to leave Tech. Hell, you might, I don't know what Wade just signed. You might be able to go do that before you could get McCasland. You're not getting either. So who else is there at this swing for the fence type of level? I'm asking, like, can you think of someone that you think Texas A&M basketball can get? Now, with the numbers I'm hearing for Ole Miss and Chris Beard, he's already making 5. So you got to just in your head, inject a little common sense into that and just some rational thought and say, A&M's trying to get a guy to leave somewhere where he's making just over $5 million a year within the conference. What do you think they have to offer to get him? It's a real number, and it to even be in the conversation there tells you they're making a big swing. You don't just take that money and then go, for this much, who can we get?
Right.
Well, you could get most coaches, but the slam dunk, home run, grand slam, whatever you want to call it, hires typically they're either at places that are real basketball schools, so you're not going to get them. B, they're also probably established. You're not going to get them. Beard is unique in that he's been there 2 years, and he's a Texas guy, family in the Woodlands, children that live in the state of Texas. So there is, and oh, by the way, we can get into all of this if there's a hire mate. He also probably would love nothing more than to come back in the state and wreak havoc on the basketball scene in the state of Texas, particularly for a school a little bit down the road.
I got the top salaries, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to kind of say names, and we'll probably say no, can't get them.
So let's not waste too much time.
Okay. Like Bill Self, you're not going to get.
Okay.
Coach Cal, you're not going to get. Dan Hurley, you're not going to get. Tom Izzo's old. Mick Cronin, $6 million a year. Bruce Pearl.
I don't think Mick Cronin's on the list, but yeah.
Scott Drew Baylor, $5.5 million per year.
I don't think he's leaving Baylor. Kentucky learned that last year. Kentucky couldn't hire him, so let's think about
Tommy Lloyd at Arizona.
By the way, Arkansas couldn't hire Chris Beard last year.
Exactly
so again, it makes you wonder, is this a Texas thing? Is this a coming back to the state? And by the way, if you get Chris Beard, you have got to make assurances to him. I'm fully convinced, like on the NIL front, and it can't be, well, the rev share is all that's going to matter moving forward.
Right.
He has to understand that he can have NIL money to win a national title. That's his goal. I know people don't think you can do that at Ole Miss. They don't think you can do that at A&M. Great coaches can win national titles. Great coaches can raise a ton of money. Great coaches can incite a great deal of fan support. And if you want to talk, you're going down this list. So Tommy Lloyd, right? What has he done?
Hasn't.
So it's not like what Arizona is paying him is okay. But keep in mind, you have to pay him a lot more to get him from Arizona. So if you're going to pay that type of money, and you haven't even got to Beard yet, right?
Well, I did. I passed them.
You did. If you're going to pay that kind of money in this sport that you've never done, it's got to be where you feel like it is the closest thing to a guarantee you can get. Not guarantee to a title, but a guarantee to make you a title contender, both in the SEC, playing into the second, and Elite Eight, Final Fours. And before you say, well, A&M never even been past the Sweet 16. Well, they've also never had a coach that's coached in the Final Four. They've never had a coach that's been the head coach in a national title game. I think Beard would have had Texas in the Final Four. He had Tech within a shot of a national championship, and he had Ole Miss in year 2 within a minute of playing in an Elite Eight. So then you come to, okay, well, if you don't get him, which I think that would, like Goodman said, he believes they'll target. Goodman, when he gets that and says that, I'm just telling you factually, he is the target right now. That won't last long. That'll
either get
they're not going to hang on to that.
Yeah.
He's going to know what he can get and say yes or no, and it won't take long because he's got a job. He's going to know exactly what A&M is bringing to the table. From there, where does it go? So you're like, okay, you start. What I want people to understand is that A&M swinging big, but it's
attainable
not,
targets.
If it's not the biggest name in it, and I know Beard's not the biggest, he's one of the biggest. If it's not that, then you start a search that is going to include, less accomplished names that you're not going to pay as much as you did for this guy for. So then it's like, where does it go? I mentioned the middle ground, or there's the quote-unquote mid-major guys. Okay, we'll talk about that when we need to, when names start coming up, real names, not just, yesterday what I put out was just speculating. I saw a couple people clearly copied that because that was not a target list, and there were some names on there that I just made up as examples, and then I saw other media outlets using those names, and I know for a fact that they're not targets at this time, nor have they even, a couple of them hadn't even been thought about yet.
Right.
But that's where you would, I think, go next. And you go, at one point, Chris Beard was that when Texas Tech hired him. At one point, McCaslin was that when Texas Tech hired him. Nate Oates was that out of Buffalo. Golden was that at Florida. I'm just naming people right now.
Yeah.
You know? I just don't know who the Lon Kruger, Kelvin Sampson, who these guys are that have a really nice resume that are just kind of floating out there that are either at a lesser place ready to move back up into like the SEC. You know, when Mississippi State hired Ben Howland. Who are those guys right now? I know people are focusing on Hoiberg at Nebraska because they think that I think it's really wild to just think that. And I say this, I don't think that's happening. I never have. I don't think it is. I don't think Trev Alberts goes. You know, people just assume, oh, he's just going to go to the guy he knows at Nebraska.
Yep.
And I don't think at all that's going to happen. I've heard, you know, people speculating on Otts at Iowa State, and they had a great year, but I think he's a kind of a different cat and kind of really fits up there and the type players they can get up there. I just wonder if that even translates here. So you can go down the list of names, and I've done it, and I've talked to people about them. You know, the guy at High Point's interesting, and it's kind of I say this word now today. It's not a 4-letter word, but it is buzz. It's actually 4 letters. It's not a bad word, but there's buzz around the fact that he would love to, you know, get the job. So it would be pretty interesting, and I think really like crazy for Trev Alberts and anyone who's helping him find this coach. If it's not Beard to go and say, okay, then there's the field.
Right.
And I still think you take, I still think, and I think, and that, you see how I'm saying that? I think you take the field over one guy and Beard in terms of like who A&M could end up with. But I know people in Oxford are sweating. You know, because I'm getting the texts and I'm getting the calls and I'm getting, and not just from Oxford, but around the country.
Yep.
And a lot of people think that it's a very real chance. I'm of the, I know you guys, it's the same way. I'm on the skeptical side of things because that would be such a big pull.
Right.
And it's so hard to do that. But what gives me optimism is knowing how equipped A&M went into this thing to say, hey.
What gives me optimism beyond that, Billy, is we don't have a no yet.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, Buzz could have ended the rumors to Maryland. Remember we talked about that? And he did not.
Yeah.
So
I get it, but it's also, according to you, you know, and I immediately tried to kind of counter that. So according to you, it's only been a day.
No, I asked what's happened since yesterday.
I'm saying like it's only been a day. So if you really want to say, if someone had to sleep on it, we're only on that sleep on it day. What I will say though is to kind of support what you're saying, this conversation wouldn't even be being had there been just not interested or had through back channels. There's a reason that Chris Beard is a target and not McCaslin. There's a reason Chris Beard is a target and not, you know, John Calipari or, you know, you mentioned all these names. There's a reason not Nate Oates, not Rick Barnes. There's a reason not
because there
Tommy
might
Lloyd.
be mutual interest.
They didn't do this for no reason.
Yeah.
That doesn't guarantee anything. But I think you just have to start critically thinking about this. And I'm actually telling you factually, they didn't do that for no reason. It wasn't like, damn, he's from Texas, let's target him. It doesn't work that way. It's more like he's from Texas, all his roots are here. We've got it on pretty good authority. He'd love to be back in the state. And you look around the state and the places that could afford it, and it's, you know, you're established, set at Tech. He's not going back to Texas. You're established, set at U of H. And it's like, what is it, A&M or SMU? SMU, and leave the SEC for SMU and the unstable ACC. And so, I mean, it really is. If you're looking to get back and do it big in this state, your Texas A&M that's it. Now, you go into a break because I have a point.
Yep.
Come back to that. If you're looking to come back into the state and do it big, as a basketball coach right now, it's Texas A&M, and that's it. Especially, even if you're not Chris Beard and Texas isn't off the table, they still just hired a successful coach in Sean Miller like yesterday. So when we come back, I want to talk about something involving Kelvin Sampson and doing it big in this state.
All right, we'll do that on the other side right now. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Great selection of vehicles when you're looking for a new vehicle and you have a lot of questions. Let the folks at Caldwell Country Chevrolet take care of you. They've got all the trucks you can imagine, the mid-sized vehicles, the SUVs, and of course that great customer service. But again, it all comes down to what's the price point. What is the price of the vehicle that you're getting? What's the trade-in value? And then afterwards, are they going to take care of you? And that really is, all three things are so important. And at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, they're going to take great care of you during, after, during the process, the whole time. It's amazing what they do there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They have the highest standards. They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. And they're going to just make sure that you know that they'll be there for you when you are there. Free oil changes for life, as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. We're talking about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. And we're back. I know. TexAgs Live.
Talking about,
I did have a finger up.
you're talking about like leaving Ole Miss for A&M, and I was texting with someone and they're saying an Ole Miss person, and I'm like, yeah, they're saying, well, he's got family in the Woodlands, so it seems like it would be. Well, yes, that's one of the real positives, but again, it's like the conversation is probably going on about like the commitment of A&M to basketball. I think pursuing him and what it's taking to pursue him tells you a lot about the commitment of A&M, the powers that be, Trev Alberts, in basketball. Like I said yesterday, you cannot voluntarily sit this thing out. There is a wave right now. Basketball in the SEC is a beast. It's not going anywhere. You look at some of the coaches in this league. I said it on Feinbaum, and he kind of shot it down. It's not like you're on there. It's not going to be a 20-minute debate over this. But I do think the conversation would be interesting. He was like, oh, no way. But I'm like, hey, you take Nick Saban out, and if you're going to tell me that Steve Sarkisian, a lot of people would say, is like you rank the SEC coaches, and a lot of them you see it goes like Sark, Kirby Smart, Sark, and who else is in the debate they put in there for Lane? Like if those are your top three, I was like, what versus what in the SEC? Bruce Pearl, Bruce Pearl, Rick Barnes, Golden, and what he's done now. John Calipari and his national championship and his career resume. And then you look at at the time of that conversation, you had Buzz. You've got Chris Beard, who's coached for a national title. That's something neither Sark or Lane have ever done. Lane's never come close. Brian Kelly is one that would be on the football side. You could go pretty deep into this and start going, there's a real discussion to be and now you got Sean Miller and some second weekend, even an Elite Eight run at Texas. There's a conversation to be had for sure. SEC basketball ain't going anywhere. In the NIL era, with the momentum they have, they're not going anywhere. So now the question becomes, do you want to be a part of that or do you want to sit that out? And by sit it out, I don't mean that if you don't have if you don't have Chris Beard, you're sitting it out. But I'm saying if it's not Beard, when you make that hire, you better be making that hire to be a real player. And so when you hire said coach, you better truly believe. And if he's not a $5-6+ million coach, and he's not a $4 million coach like Buzz was, and if he's a $3 million coach, you better believe, this guy's going to be so good in 3 years, we're going to have to pay him. We're going to have to probably double his salary.
Right.
That's what your hope is with like Mike Elko. I wouldn't say double, coach, sorry, but like Mike Elko in a perfect world is like, he wants to be a $10 million coach one day, not for the money. Everybody likes money. Let's not pretend.
Right.
But not for the money, but because if he gets that salary one day here, unless A&M just stays on the cuckoo train, but if he gets that salary here, it's because he won at a really high level early on in the first few years. The same thing with, it's the same thing with Sark in Austin. He lost a little less, won big, won bigger, paid. So that's the path, Mike Elko wants to go down, and A&M will do it. In basketball, you don't have to do that today to stay competitive in this league, but you damn sure got to make the right hire. You can't be left behind. A&M fans will be missing out on too much, and they'll be pissed off about it, and rightfully so. So will the money people that the NIL is dependent upon.
Let's hit the break, and then when we come back, doing it big in the state of Texas.
Yeah,
all right, we'll do that. Right now, let's talk about storytelling. Chance McClain is my buddy, a filmmaker, storyteller. He's done some awesome Broadway musicals, red carpet events in LA. He started a radio station in Houston. He's now capturing family stories, the essence of their family with an Aggie twist. He's got an incredible track record of just telling people's stories in a really cool manner. He's not just using a handy cam. We're talking about a professional cinematic equipment that make you forget that they're even filming. There's just like an eye in the sky when they do it. Whether you're on the tractor or in a studio, he captures the authentic heart of your story. It's about a premium service that delivers an incredible and lasting memory. If you want to preserve your family's story, reach out to Heritage Films, the website, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. It's more than business for them. It's a relationship built on trust and storytelling. It is Heritage Films. And we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to finish this topic, so if we go long, it'll be on TexAgs.com with TexAgs Overtime. We'll just kind of shift into it because we only got 2 minutes to go, Billy, and I know you wanted to talk about. So doing it big in the state of Texas, you look around, you got U of H.
Yeah.
They are a great program.
They're a wagon right now.
Right? You've got Texas Tech, great program. You've got commitment in Austin to fix that situation.
They've got the facility. They've got that job's, it's a gold mine, and you've got a coach that's won. So now, I mean, who has Texas hired? He's better and more proven than Shaka Smart was. Obviously, Rodney Terry. They did hire Beard. They had Barnes before that. So I mean, it's a perfect. I'm scrolling through my bookmarks to find where I say, okay, I'm just going to tell people where it's at, and so people can watch it. And I'll retweet it right now. I just retweeted it. So it's from Joseph Duarte. Houston coach Kelvin Sampson held court Tuesday afternoon. Question was about how far the program has come in the early struggles. So It's a long deal by Kelvin Sampson. A lot of you are in Houston. A lot of you, if you're not in Houston or college basketball fans, you can say U of H basketball has not been really relevant since Phi Slamma Jamma until Kelvin Sampson got there. I know Tom Pender's had some stuff, but like they've had tournament berths, they've had exciting teams on, but they really haven't mattered from Olajuwon, Drexler, Givey, Lewis until Kelvin Sampson. He got there in 14, and they built that arena in 18. And I'm not, look, I would love for A&M to build an arena. That's just not even, with a whole different conversation. But he talks about, what he talks about is the commitment that the University of Houston made to be great in basketball. And he said he gets emotional when he walks through there because he knows the struggle. They made a commitment there to be great at that sport. A&M has made a commitment to be great at football at A&M. They haven't gotten the payoff yet, but they've made that commitment. That commitment, in my opinion, needs to stay at level 100 of 100 every day. It is what makes the money. It is what our fans care about first and foremost. It is the largest spotlight. The opportunity, the cost of not being good is exceedingly high in this day and age. So that is 1, 2, 3, 1A, 1B, 1C. Needs to always be that way. You can also make a commitment to being great in the second most high-profile sport. And it's easier for U of H to do that because he talks about Tillman Fertitta cut him a $20 million check day one. Okay? And this is before there's a fight between every sport at every school for that $20 million from one person. Okay? But Tillman cut him a $20 million check to start out. But he talks about just